episode from Fox Sports.
Hey guys, this is Cole Liker.
Hi, I'm Neil Collins.
You are listening to the Unused Substitute.
The Unused Substitute.
And you're listening to the Unused Substitutes.
Get off the pitch!
Hey there, Little Red Riding Hood, I got a problem and it's complicated. Going through changes and I just can't ignore the signs. Hear them now, it's so loud it hurts. Hear me growl, hear me howl with the full moon.
On the throw, ball's gonna bounce down and spring in the box. Bicycle kick! Goal! Rowdies! What a play! What a shot! And it's 1-0 Rowdies!
Good evening, everybody. You're listening to the Unused Substitutes live on Radio St. Pete, part of the Beautiful Game Network, and sponsored by Roughneck Scarves, and having nothing to do with my Cuju. My name is Matt, and on the other end of the internet from me is the guy who can't decide whether he wants to talk about soccer or storms. Steven, how you doing?
Well, coming to you live from my preparation bunker for, Doomsday, Hurricane Dorian, and everything else. I'm doing great considering the Rowdies absolutely stomped this weekend, but you're absolutely right. I will say this. I am like the person everybody comes to ask for weather stuff at the office. It's pretty funny. It's awesome.
I even, Steven, is gonna be talking with some of the guys from one of the Nashville podcasts after we finish up here tonight, and I even made sure to mention to him, he's got some weather opinions if you want to know about what may or may not transpire this weekend. He'll be happy to fill you in. So you might get quizzed on that.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's actually kind of cool.
I knew you would be prepared, so.
I am. It's funny because we, the operations manager for our floor, so they're in charge of like 300 or 400 people. They at one point, I'm in between phone calls and he like shouts from across the room, "Hey, Steven, is Dorian upgraded to a hurricane yet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it happened like an hour and a half ago." And he's like, "See, that's why I asked you." I'm like, "Okay, cheers."
He knew you'd have the answer. All right, so you said it a few seconds ago. The Rowdies won big on Saturday to close out Supporters Week the way that we wanted them to and the way they really needed to. I've been calling it a 5-0 win. Our good friend, I guess I can admit to that in public now, Ryan Sudol hates when American announcers, American fans, whatever, use nil because it's just not a common American term. And since we're somewhat in the South, I'm going to go with nah. Mostly because, they weren't even close to scoring a goal that night. It's the third time this year that McCarthy's kept a clean sheet without having to make a save. If there's a better way to come back from a month-long layoff, he nailed it. I mean, and he didn't have to do anything. So, good for him. It was a fantastic game to be at. Nice storm right before halftime. I talked my wife into making her once a year trip to Ao Lang. We're sitting there and she's like, "You think we should move up to the top?" And I go, I don't see any lightning in this yet. We did see some later. I did get some. I did get to see the weather. You would have liked this. I got to see the weather alert system they use.
Yes.
After the game.
Trust me, I've seen it.
Too. I bet you. Now I saw the app version on Lee Cohen's phone. Mm-hmm. So because I was trying to get some info on how that whole system worked. So we just stayed in our seats. We were the only ones left in our section. I said, it's moving pretty quick. It's not going to be... And it did. I mean, it was a 15-minute long storm, but, man, it got heavy there in the last, 10 minutes. Oh, man. I was... Great. And I just stayed there. Like, number one, it was incredibly hot at the tailgate and everything else. So I was welcoming the relief. I just felt bad for Georgie and for the people they came out to give like the giant check to, and they're like, "All right, come stand in the rain while you get your giant check."
Seriously, that was so unfortunate. My heart kind of broke a little bit for him. Just of all the timing for a 15-minute monsoon,
right?
It was during the celebration of Georgie's accomplishments with the club. Like, come on. Come on. How are the gods of the Pantheon doing that to us on that night? Like, that's just rude.
You know. Hey, I mean, apparently Mother Nature is very anti-labor anyway, so I guess she'll ruin anything at this point. She's just turned into a bitter old woman. As long as I still have a little bit of power over the weekend, I need to get caught up on Glow and start season 2 of Mindhunter. I got plans.
Something that gets me about weather in the stadium and everything is when I go to games, I always bring like a change of clothes and like bags for stuff like, cell phones or whatever, just in case, because you never know if something will randomly pop up. Like the rain chance on Saturday night was like 20% or something like that. Like it was supposed to be a pretty dry day,
right?
Dry afternoon. Pretty much nothing in the evening. Like it was supposed to not rain, and we were like the only spot, like the whole area, that actually got rain, and it rained a lot in that 15 minutes. I'm sitting around like, I don't care. I'll stand out in the rain. Give me the biggest flag the mob has, and I'll just stand out there the whole time. Doesn't faze me. Why? Because I got to change of clothes in the car, and I don't give a crap.
I have done that in the past. I did not this weekend, and I regretted it. We regretted it the entire drive home. We had to come put towels in the seats to try and soak up all the moisture that got into the car seats and all that good stuff afterwards. But it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it for the 5-0 win. I got a chance to catch up with Jochen Graf a couple times. Got 2 hugs from Jochen, so I was very happy with that. I was glad to see him back there. Met up with his fiance and some friends after the game and talked to them for a little while. Very cool people. He's still, in the off season, he's still in the area, so they were coming out to watch him in the game, and that was just all the stuff off the field. Like on the field was pretty damn good too. So let's get into the good, bad, ugly, and let's do this. Was there any ugly?
No.
Was there any bad?
No.
I don't think there was.
When you have a game where you only allow one shot and it's not on goal, there's no such thing as a bad moment or anything.
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, it was a nice night. So let's talk about all the good stuff. What was your favorite moments of Saturday night on the field? On the field.
Ooh boy. Well, let's put it this way. When we saw the starting lineup, I absolutely started chuckling. And this is the reason why, if you are in the USL and you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to laugh at you if you think that you're going to beat the Tampa Bay Rowdies playing with 3 defenders.
Yeah.
I'm just going to laugh at you. I'm going to sit back and laugh. I'm going to enjoy watching the chaos because we're just going to run rampant all over you. It's going to be great. And so maybe that's a challenge. I dare teams to play with 3 backs against us because that was absolutely hysterical. Where now we're, 2-0 with a +10 goal differential against teams playing at us with a 3-back system. I'm just saying.
It was an odd choice, and a lot of teams come in here and try and stack up the midfield and stack up the defense and kind of bunker down. And credit to Nashville, they didn't really try to do that, but they couldn't execute anything offensively either.
Memphis.
What did I say?
Nashville.
Nashville. I'm already planning ahead.
Your head's getting a little moving ahead there.
All these weird cities in Tennessee that I have family in, they all blur together.
As they should. No, I'm laughing because that is just a joke. Like, how do you? Ugh.
Oh, and by the way, I should mention I'm wearing a Chattanooga FC T-shirt right now too.
There you go. See, it's all Tennessee here today.
Heck
apparently. Yeah. So no, first of all, that was the thing that I laughed. I loved it. I thought it was hysterical. Like I said, if anybody in the USL wants to play us in a 3-back, I double dog dare you. Come on. That's observation number one. That was even before kickoff. Observation number two was this is the best starting lineup that we have, is what we put on the field this weekend. McCarthy in net, Murad, Diakite, Richards in the back, Johnson and Fernandez as the outside wingers, Poku, Aduro, Tanari in the middle, with Tejada and Gonzadi up front. That's the best. That's as good as it gets. That is our starting 11. That is the best players we have. We've had the most consistent results with that group of 11 on the field. That's our best winning percentage. I'm pretty sure it's our best goal differential. That's it. That's the team. And to me, I think that was something that was very reassuring watching this match, was the fact that every one of those players were just hitting it. Like the cues were there, the off the ball movement was there, the creativity was there. That was everything we wanted. Like even though, you know, Tejada was a little bit more quiet in this match than others, he still made space for other players. Some of the runs that he made drew defenders away from the other players we had out there that was causing chaos on the offensive end. It was fine. It was perfect. It was great. I had no qualms whatsoever with that starting 11. That's the way it should be. And hopefully we stay healthy and everybody keeps the motivation that they have right now coming off of a big win like this, because I think that's what's going to carry us in to the playoffs. And that's what's going to give us our chance for moving deep in the playoffs too, is this starting 11.
So I talked with Neil after the game, and actually I talked to him a little bit before the game too, because I had to ask him what was going on in that conversation he had with the fourth official on Wednesday night, and Neil was very unhappy about the amount of stoppage time given. I'm not gonna tell Neil he's wrong, at least to his face, because we see what happens when people say things to Neil he doesn't like. You know, I think a lot of that may have been just kind of frustration from the way the game had gone too. He wanted more stoppage time. I don't know that it would have made a difference at that point. But you want every minute you can get at that point if you're, you know, hoping for something to happen. And I kind of wondered if and I talked to him after the game. I'm like, you know, do you think the players saw that and maybe said, let's not get that our way? Maybe you know, they've got that motivation still chasing New York for that top spot right now, still 4 points back. Managed to reclaim the second spot. You know, and one of the things I was kind of laughing about watching this over the weekend, the other results play out. Like North Carolina had jumped all the way up to second after Wednesday and finished Saturday night back in fifth place. It may have been Sunday. They might have played Sunday afternoon. I don't remember. But they hopped up to second for a moment and then fell back to fifth. Like the top four, top five, even though they've kind of broken away from the rest of the conference, is still pretty tight in itself, which is going to be fun to watch. Who's going to get that top spot heading into the playoff season?
Agreed. And yeah, it's funny how cramped it sometimes does get up there at the top of this table right now. But yeah, I you know, it's interesting too, because I thought I'm with you on this. I thought that the reaction that Neil had about the stoppage time, when you told me about that, I was kind of surprised that was what was going on, because I'm with you. I don't see how even 7 minutes of stoppage makes a difference there. I don't see it happening. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah, maybe it is a motivation thing. Maybe it is,
and maybe there was more.
If that's how mad he was on the field in front of an official of a game that we weren't going to win under any circumstances at that point,
yeah.
Imagine what he was like in the locker room after the game.
Yeah, he did say you know, after the game Wednesday night, and he used the phrase. I don't want to call it cliche, but it's a phrase you hear around soccer commentary a lot. He said questions were asked. Mm-hmm. I think he got, at least I hope he got the answers he wanted to on Saturday night.
I hope so too, because getting goals from 4 players and all of them being midfielders is awesome.
Right? Like, this is a game where we had Guenzati and Tejada out there for what? I don't think either of them were subbed off. Neither of them scored, and that's a rarity to get those are the top 2 players. Poku contributes his first 2 of the season. Malik gets 1. And then you had the other one was Tanari's shot. yeah, it was fun. So let's like look at those three players first. Poku's a guy who gets a lot of props from the coaching staff, from the commentators, and mostly from the fans too. And we talked about this when he came in last year, that everyone just kind of expected to see like a goal machine, and he didn't do those things. Hasn't done those things necessarily since he's come here. But it's been about his passing, his distribution, and his movement with the ball has been spectacular. I mean, I saw him in training before he had even gotten back into the starting lineup, where he was sending deep crossfield passes and just putting it exactly where it had to go. But Saturday night he got to get the bits of glory too with his first 2 goals of the season. Ends up making team of the week. I don't know that he's my man of the match, but makes team of the week with his goals. One right on the volley from out. We had an outside the box goal.
We had an outside the box goal
On purpose, like cool.
Like I was freaking out. I was legitimately freaking out, and I'm so happy that Adam Martin was on it, because he put out a tweet. He was like, "I can hear Steven cheering about an outside the box like shot, let alone a goal
exactly.
from North Carolina. Like, I can hear him from North Carolina." And not only did Poku do it once, he did it twice. That is awesome. I'm so happy that somebody, for the love of all things holy, finally started doing that. Because, gosh, I think we needed it. And I think more importantly, and I'm going to say this, I think that actually helped contribute to the landslide of the game, because we did not allow them to play one-dimensional defense against us. And I think that's what kind of helped make some of those avenues available for us to finish. I will swear to that till I end, because you watch the way that they played that game, and they were not allowed to crash the box as a defensive unit because Poku was taking those shots from outside. I am so absolutely excited, not only for Poku scoring his first goals of the year, not only for the team winning, but God, we needed those outside the box shots, because if that's what it takes to get that little bit of confidence back for the other players to start doing that again. You know, Tanari had that amazing outside the box shot earlier this year. Aduro's been infamous for trying it over and over and over again on set pieces, but he's been close on a lot of areas, and we know he's capable of doing it. If this weekend's game was that tad bit of confidence we needed to start that trend up, by all means, I am here for that.
Well, and let's be honest, no disrespect to Memphis 901, but they're 17th in the table for a reason. This is a team that we should have beat, and should have beat, honestly, by this margin, and especially on the night with the way they played. The other thing was, you got the goals, but they also did them at, it seemed like, all the perfect times, especially the first half. You get the early goal, which always seems to like let the it gives your offense more confidence. It gives the defense more confidence. I mean, you end up with no shots on target, I think, because we scored early, and that, instantly knowing that you have to try and get something past this defense when you're already down a goal 11 minutes in. Has got to be a weight on their minds. And then to score, seconds before the first half ends in stoppage time, it ends up 5-0, but that second goal right there, that's the dagger. I think Memphis goes in the locker room kind of just deflated. At least I would believe that I probably would. And then comes out in the second half, and it's pretty much they're just trying damage control at that point. Or in the case of tackling Juan Tejada, just trying to inflict damage.
Yeah, exactly. And I am with you, because I was livid in the stadium when that happened. That was absolutely, in my mind, a red card.
I don't know if there's something else, and that's going back and watching it. And I found I found the clip online, made a GIF out of it, posted it up later that night. You can tell, and again, it's not all based around intent or whether you got the ball or not, but you can tell watching the demeanor of that player, who I should say used to play for that team across I-4, or at least for their B team. he goes in, gets up, doesn't do puts his hand up to say, hey, my bad, doesn't go over and try to help him stand up and apologize, just gets up and walks away. Like, he 100% intended to do that, and how he got away with it not being a red is beyond me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because like I get what he was trying to do. And, as a defender, I kind of sympathize with him a little bit because I don't think he was anticipating Tejada going to the outside with it.
Right.
So I think that caught him off guard. So I think it was one of those, I'm going down for the side tackle. I'm convinced he's going to try and pull it inside. I'm going to be here for it when it does. So that's what I'm going to do. So when he turns to the outside on that play, you're stuck as a defender. Like, that's it. I mean, there's nothing, there's no going back. There's no apologizing. It just is. He anticipated a move that I wasn't ready for, and I can't stop myself now.
It's a different kind of hit and hope, because you're going to hit him and hope you don't get thrown out.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Like, as a defender, I could tell you okay, let me rephrase that. As a really terrible defender playing, because there's a reason why I'm not playing right now. Well, at least at a decent level. I sympathize with him a little bit. But the fact is that I think that ref got it wrong. I sincerely believe that was a red card because he was nowhere near the ball. Like,
no.
Tejada goes to the end.
The ball's gone by that point.
Yeah, I think Tejada made at least one touch, if not two,
yeah.
by the time that guy came in and just took out his ankle. I don't see how it's not a red.
The only other thing I thought going back later was that, he just didn't want the first card he gave out to be red, but he had carded
that is something that bothers me so much.
He carded Fernandez like 10 minutes before, so it's not that.
I'm telling you, this is the one thing about referees that I hate, are the referees that are like, well, we have to manage the game, and if the game doesn't warrant the red card, I'm not going to give it. No, dang it. You have a rule book. The rules say specifically a blah, blah, blah challenge is worthy of a red card. You freaking card the challenge. I don't care what the game state is. If you're winning 5-0 and you mistime a tackle, if you're about to break somebody's ankle, you deserve a red card. I don't care.
Maybe he thought
what's going on the field.
Maybe
that's a rant. I had to go do that.
Maybe he was confused and thought there was VAR and just figured he'd give the yellow and let the booth overrule it.
They were as confused as the players on last night's U.S. Open Cup final were about not playing with VAR now.
Oh, man.
That was kind of funny at times.
So
anyways,
I'll tell you,
that's off subject.
one other. So Poku gets his 2 goals. Who is it? Tenari gets that one right before halftime. Malik Johnson's first assist of the night. Poku's first was unassisted. And then again, you come out in the second half, and it's just, it's at that point, let's play out the last 45 minutes. The everybody in the stands knows it. Everybody on the field knows it. So I usually end up going. So I'll watch from my seat, and I'll go down in like the last 5 minutes or so and catch a little bit from the field. Actually, I saw Malik's goal from about field level. But I ended up standing over by the dugout that the Rowdies come out of for the game. And David Najim, speaking of guys coming back from injury, says he should be ready in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, good.
He was there with the biggest, now he always has the biggest grin on his face, but he could not wait to go find his brother after the game and rub it in. He was excited about that. He's like, I got to go talk to him.
That's awesome. So
I was I'm going to put that under one of my good moments. Malik, just in general, like we got a chance to talk to him after the game as well too. And then I kind of brought up to him that Neil, we kind of took a gamble on him bringing in a young kid who's never been outside of Canada, has been playing in the TSC system, but he's taken a gamble too, coming down here to a team that. There's some veteran presence. It wasn't guaranteed that he was going to get a lot of minutes, but he's worked his way in, and it's hard to take him off the field now at this point. And now he's getting the, with 1 goal and 2 assists on the night. I think we've kind of gone over all the good things. Malik's my man of the match.
I like it. So my man of the match, I'm going to take the safe pick because I think he fully deserves it this week. based on everything going on, defensive work rate, just everything. I'm going Poku.
Okay.
I'm going Poku for man of the match.
One other cool thing on the night, this was just, Tampa Bay and Memphis, but it was a cool kind of exhibition of just what soccer in Tampa Bay is to begin with. Because you've got Neil Collins and Memphis' coach Tim Mulqueen are kind of live in the same neighborhood. Mulqueen was at IMG with the U.S. Academy when it was down there. The U17 Academy down there. Actually worked as like a high school basketball coach because his kids are at school in the area. Once the academy shut down, but you also had a couple of former USF players out there for Memphis, Wesley Charpie and Marcus Epps, and then you've got guys with connections to the area like Yakin. Like, it's kind of cool, and you see some areas kind of get a lot of run and publicity, and occasionally MLS teams thrown their way because they have that kind of history. But there's a pretty interesting soccer culture sometimes going on in the background around here, and it was kind of cool to see that all come out on at the coaching level, at the playing level. It's one more thing we talk about how the teams attempting to make these inroads with the youth clubs and kind of bring them into that umbrella. Like it's one more thing that they can look and see. Look, here's it's a possible option if you play for the youth clubs in this area, or if you play for the colleges in this area. And also the same night, and I hate that it happens like this, but it seems like it is every year when USF and UT are playing the Rowdies Cup game. It always seems to be on a Rowdies game night.
Oh, I know.
I would love that. I know it's kind of a big deal to do it at the team stadiums, either over at Corbett Stadium or at what is it at UT? Is it the Namoli Complex at UT? Isn't that what it is?
I have no idea.
Didn't he donate the money for that? I didn't think his name's on it. Someone's name is on that. But I think it would be cool.
The rich kid school.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if they could do that as a doubleheader at Al Lang some night.
I'll say this: I always get bothered by the fact that the Rowdies Cup game is almost seemingly always gets put on a Rowdies home game. Like,
yeah.
What? Like, I honestly wonder how much. That may not affect the attendance this past weekend, because this weekend's attendance was bad. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought that was horrible.
48-35 was the announced attendance. And again.
That's awful. That's awful. Awful. Why are people not coming? But
I told you why.
You raised a great point, because I don't think the Rowdies Cup would have affected that number very much at all. Maybe by 100 at most.
Yeah. Like friends and family of the players.
After that game was over, we were walking around the pubs. Me and a friend went out to dinner. Everywhere we went, every eye was glued to the Florida-Miami game.
Yeah.
Every TV in every place in downtown was watching the same thing. I got to give it to you, Matt, because that was something that you had brought up to me in the discussion that we had privately this week. I absolutely think that that's probably it.
Oh yeah,
I think
that's huge.
Was just how impactful that game was to us.
When I got home, my Facebook and my Twitter on my personal accounts were full of people who were all either at someone else's house to watch the game, even if they weren't a UF or a Miami fan. It was the opening of college football, which is a big thing in Florida. Now, the game was originally scheduled. I don't remember what date, but it was moved up in early March to be this. To be on this date. So when the Rowdy schedule was made and when this came out, they were not playing on the same night. Yep, and then early March, the NCAA approved a waiver to move that up a week. So it was supposed to happen this weekend.
Yeah, because they called it week 0 basically.
Yeah, because it was the only game. I mean, I think there was a Hawaii game later on, but that was really the only primetime game people were watching.
Yeah. Yep, that was it. And they did it on purpose, and I've got a feeling that the numbers are going to bear out that it was a wild success, and they'll probably take it and run with it to make a lot more money because it's, the NCAA.
So the crazy thing was, and not that we're going to turn into a college football podcast all of a sudden, but especially for games played across I-4, because there was a neutral site game they played in Orlando at Camping World. There were 3 major events going on in downtown that night, Orlando, all starting generally in the same time. and ending around the same time, and it was taking people hours to get out of there. I saw one of the Spectrum sports reporters in Orlando left her car in the garage to walk back. Actually, she's like, I'm starting to walk back. Not that she was going to walk all the way to the office because it was too far. She goes, until someone can pick me up. I'm just leaving the car here.
I saw that tweet. She was like, I've abandoned my car. I'm just going to walk it because there's no moving at this point in the vehicle. And I was like, oh my gosh.
I'm sure someone at some point will blame those parking garage problems on the Rowdies too, but we'll wait. That'll wait for another day.
Yeah, right. But no, that was
no. But I mean, that's honestly
couldn't have happened to a better city.
to be like 160 people under 5,000 on a night like that.
Yeah,
you almost start to go. That's kind of impressive.
Not to mention Disney traffic, because this is basically like one of the last weekends before school starts for anybody up north. So you're still dealing with the end of summer traffic. Yeah, that was a nightmare. I'm laughing because screw Orlando, but I honestly, I'm with you on the fact that I think that very much. I'll tell you that had a bigger effect on this game, in my opinion, than any Rays game. The Bucks aren't playing on Saturday night, but even like a Lightning playoff game, I don't know has as much of a crossover effect, because that's if you're not a fan of either of those teams, that's still like an impulse buy. You're like, I'll go to the bar and watch the game. I'll go to a friend's house and watch the game. Like, cool, it's college football. People who love it. If they might have dropped, $50, $60 to bring their family to Al-Lang for the night, they'll go spend $50, $60 on beers at the bar and watch the football game. Like, the hardcore fans were there. It's that kind of walk-up day of crowd, I think, is what was missing that night. Like I said, I'm going to give that one to you because I think that's exactly what happened, and that makes a lot of sense.
Anything else we need to go over about this game? It was fun.
Can we play you? Can we play
right?
you? Can we play you every week?
Can we play you the last 9 games? I've got my Georgie bobblehead here on the. I gotta talk about all the cool stuff I came home with.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. You did have an assortment of things.
I did.
That you,
the Georgie bobblehead
purchased and were handed to, and all that kind of stuff.
The Georgie bobblehead sitting on my desk now in front of me. Very impressed with the level of detail they went into on his arm tattoos.
Yes, I saw that too, and I was really excited for that.
I like the raised numbers on the back of the jersey also. Like it kind of stands out a little bit. Ryan Sudol made a trip over to England recently and attended a Norwich City game. The game where they beat, what was it, Newcastle, I think?
Yes.
Just shellacked them.
He saw the hat trick for Pookie.
Yes,
right? I think that was the game he went to.
Yeah, brought me back it's a Norwich City scarf from right when they got promoted. So it says "We Are Premier League" on it with that. And hands it to me, and I'm kind of standing there at the tailgate talking to him, and Jesse's there, and Jesse spots Caleb walking into the stadium, and Jesse tracked him down. Like Jesse could have played with the speed he put on tracking Caleb down, and got Caleb to sign the scarf for me, which was awesome. So I want to say thanks to Jesse for that. That was pretty cool. And then I went and got one of the posters they were promoting from the store, which was really I like that. It's very well done. Nice little plastic bag it comes in. It's I think I'm going to have that thing matted and framed and put it up next to my my Kick in the Grass painting from way back when.
I saw the poster, and I don't know if they have any left, but
I think I still saw someone promoting it like a day or two, like not the team itself, but one of the I think the company one of the companies that works with the artists, yeah.
Because I love putting up those posters. I've got a lot of those posters, especially from the series that were produced 6 years ago or something like that.
The Mob, the Mob, and the Dunn and Company ones.
Yeah, I've got a lot of those posters, and my intention has always been to basically frame all of them and basically put all of them up.
Yeah,
I thought those were just cool.
Jared Clifford had that for a while. He had a whole season's framed and on the wall in his apartment. He posted a picture of one time that I thought, and I kind of took the idea. Now they're just kind of sitting in a big stack on my dresser right now, so I can do something with them. I have a couple in my classroom, including one signed by Tommy Rongen. up there. Just add a little bit of color to the room. Speaking of that, if someone posted a picture online, or I think the Premier League or someone retweeted or NBC Sports over the weekend, some teacher getting ready for back to school has like a Premier League table in his room that he's not like a table, but like a on the like the whiteboard, like he's keeping a running table of it. And everyone, like 3 or 4 comments were like, "You should do this." So it's in progress. I will have it probably up and running next to my desk by next week when we go back, weather permitting.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, yeah, I think I don't know if I've said this on the show before. I have 2 proud posters that I'm proud of. One of them is Swansea City. It's the game day poster that was done for Swansea City versus Minnesota in 2014. They only made like 100 of them, and I've got one, so I'm really excited about that. But the other one is the signed by both players, Zach and Dan Scott.
Oh wow!
For the Rowdies,
the Open Cup,
Seattle Open Cup poster, the game day poster of the 2 beer bottles clanging.
Yeah.
I've got that one framed and hanging up in my house, and that is honestly the one that I'm most proud of.
That's a nice one. That is definitely a nice one.
But speaking of tables, and speaking
nice move there. I like that. So
let's segue into what's going on around the league after this. Well, including this past weekend.
So the notable the games we're keeping an eye on, the top 10 matchups. Nashville, this week's opponent, fell at home to Red Bull 2-1. Ottawa, which we're going to travel up there in a few weeks, won 2-1 over St. Louis. And I'm going to revise this. Neither St. Louis or Charlotte are going to make the playoffs.
You would not be wrong in saying so. Considering
who is Birmingham is going to make the playoffs.
And Birmingham's winning again tonight at halftime. They're up 1-0.
I was going to say they're playing Loudoun United. Like, did they win this game? They're 5 points ahead of Charleston in 5th place. Charleston has a game in hand, but it'll be 2 games in hand at that point. And they're just like 4 points back of Ottawa. And Birmingham hasn't. They finally conceded a goal for the first time in like 6 or 7 games on Wednesday. I mean on Saturday or Sunday, I think.
At this point, Birmingham is 1 win away from having a winning record. Think about that.
That's true, and they're going to get that win.
Seriously, think about that for a minute. They're 1 win away from a winning record. They have a negative 12 goal differential.
I know. It's insane.
1 win away from a winning record. That's unreal.
The only team in the top 10 with a negative, and not just, it's not like a -2 or a -3. Like, they're sitting on negative 12 right now, and that counts the goal they scored tonight so far.
It's unbelievable.
That's just
unbelievable what they've done.
And so that's one of the things where you look at the.
How do you predict that? A team that has just sucked for the start of the year, all of a sudden just doing like a Phoenix Rising type streak.
So that's
they just decide, you know what? Let's just not lose games anymore, and let's win everything by 1 goal.
I might need to put that out. I might need to put that out there as like a poll on the website, or I even want to throw it to the Steal Some Time crew because I like chatting with them. What's a more impressive story? Phoenix's like 75 straight wins, whatever it is at this point.
Yeah, right.
Again, against Western Conference competition, or Birmingham coming out of nowhere with, just looking at their last 5, 4 wins and a draw. They hadn't conceded in like 600-something minutes. That's almost more impressive considering where they started. Phoenix was a good team. They got off to a rough start too. But Phoenix is a team you expected to be a good team. And Phoenix was a trendy, not even a trendy pick, but kind of an easy pick to make to top the Western Conference, and hopefully maybe play against the Rowdies in the USL Cup final would be nice to see. Because I think you're really
they're on the verge of going on an 8-game stretch where they've had 7 wins and 1 draw in 8 games.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Like, it really is.
Like, I don't feel that bad about losing 1-0 to them at this point.
Yeah, because you catch a team that's hot, you catch a team that's hot. It is what it is.
Yeah. Other games, Louisville got a 1-0 win over North Carolina FC. And Nashville, they lost to New York on Wednesday. They came back, rebounded, and beat Charleston 2-1 at home. Charleston's gonna get 10th place and qualify for the playoffs, not on their own doing, but just because no one else wants it. is the way it looks like right now.
Yeah, whoever finishes in 10th at this point is basically just going to be backing into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I agree.
Or just like squatting. just they're just there. Birmingham, Loudoun are playing right now, so we're gonna keep an eye on that one. Although I suspect Birmingham's gonna win this one also. Friday night we've got Louisville against Indianapolis. That's gonna be a big game.
That's a huge game.
Let's
If
see.
you've got nothing to do on a Friday night and you're looking for some background, that is a game to watch.
Like Louisville. I mean, Louisville can win that game and still be a point behind Indy and North Carolina. But that's a big matchup. Indy dropping points because they've still got 4 games in hand on just about everybody. So I sent this actually, and let's do this because I sent this out there. Total Soccer Show was asking for questions for a listener question show, and I sent one out there, and it didn't get picked. At least not in the episodes I listened to today.
That figures. That's why you're an unused substitute.
Yeah, I know. At what point do games in hand become a hindrance rather than a benefit? Everyone tends to look at the table and go, "Well, we're down by 3 points. We've got 2 games in hand." Indy's got 4 games in hand, but that's going to mean a lot of midweek, Friday night games, Sunday games, maybe running into this end of the season. They're going to play. I think what we counted out, they're going to play 11 games before we play them here in the home finale. At which point we would have played 7 games. Like, I'm starting to think at this point, especially this point of the season, that could be a hindrance. You get some injuries, you get some tired guys, you get some guys that get into a little slump in their form, and those games in hand might come back to bite you.
Well, then again, that's always been an interesting question because, I mean, look at what the Rowdies did at the beginning of the year, where having all of those back-to-back games, we got into a groove, and it kind of catapulted our whole season. So at the same time, like, even if you have a lot of games at the end of the year, even if you don't stay healthy, at least you're pulling out results and you start that crazy streak off the right way, sometimes you just get into a groove and you just ride it all the way through. Especially when there's that extra motivation of, hey, you realize that with these games in hand, you could actually be in first place. Because Indy could legitimately be in first place with all of those games caught up.
Right.
So sometimes that proves to be an extra motivation. It certainly helped the Rowdies at the beginning of the year when we had all those midweek games, one right after another. So I don't know. I could see both arguments of at the end of a season, maybe that's a bad thing. Because again, you're already playing. The benefit of the Rowdies doing it at the beginning of the year is that everybody's fresh. You don't have to worry about a tired leg pulling a hamstring during the end of a season, a hard year, in the middle of the summer type deal. You don't have to worry about that at the beginning of the year necessarily. So, I could see an argument where maybe having a backloaded schedule can be a hindrance comparatively, but still, I don't know. I mean, the fact is that these are all professionals, right? So you assume that everybody's going to be treating this the right way from any team. It doesn't matter who necessarily you're playing, especially if you're talking all playoff teams. Those teams are all with players that are going to take this the right way. I don't know if it necessarily is a hindrance per se.
I'm hoping it is in this situation. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, that would be, sure, selfishly, absolutely.
I don't know whether to call this breaking news, but I thought this sounds like an interesting scenario. The MLS Video Review, which is a verified account, tweeted, "The penalty kick awarded to Vancouver was reviewed. After further review, the penalty kick was retaken because both the attacking player and the goalkeeper encroached."
Yes, that's the correct ruling on the field.
I want to see that. I want to see how that. I want to see how that works out. Is that what's the attacking player doing to encroach? Is that like a stutter step on the shot or?
No. He's talking about somebody coming in on the box. Somebody.
Okay, so they're finally calling that now.
Yeah, I know. Funny how that works, but I mean, really, after it's been in the rule book forever and nobody ever calls the dang thing.
Right.
But yeah, that's what they're talking about. Is a player came in from the edge of the penalty area. If you come in before the ball is kicked and you're an attacking player, you should be called, but they never do. The goal does not stand officially. Again, and it's funny because you're taught at a youth level that the linesman their sole purpose in life on a penalty kick is to just watch the goal line.
Right.
Like, that's their job. You watch the goal line, and at the youth levels for the lower grade referees, it's if the goalkeeper comes off of his line early or too early, as it were, and that's your job, is to call that because you're in the perfect position to do that. The head referee has, at the lower levels again, has almost always supposed to have been calling encroachment on the box. That's always been like their job. It astounds me the number of referees when you get to the higher levels, even when you're talking about at the same time, like when I was reffing and being taught all of this, you look at the fact that a lot of these referees are not even paying attention to the box at all.
No, I mean, go back and you even see it in
the kicker.
Yeah, we even saw it in the Women's World Cup. A lot of these plays where they were going to VAR to see if the goalkeeper's off the line, you've got 2 and 3 players into the box at the same time, and that was never, brought up. Bugged the crap out of me.
I don't get it.
All right.
It's the weirdest thing to me.
So your current table overall, the traditional table, the table that counts. Red Bull is still on top, 53 points. Rowdies in second with 49. Nashville 1 point back with 48. They're playing. Are they playing right now?
Who,
I don't think so.
Nashville?
No, Nashville's not playing tonight. I saw them tweeting. I thought maybe they were playing at the same time. Indy, 22 games, 46 points. 3 games in hand on us, 4 games on everybody else above them. And North Carolina FC tied right behind them with 46 points, but with 26 games, 1 fewer win, 5 more goals. So it's a weird combo of potential tiebreakers there. The Riverhounds sitting in 6th with 44 points. Louisville 42, Ottawa 39, Birmingham 32. Currently, if this was the live table, we'd say 35. And Charleston with 30. St. Louis 4 points back in 11th place out of the playoff spots. It's so interesting now when you take a look at the I call them the chiclets, the form over on the side of the table. Mm-hmm. There's so much green up top and so much red. Like there's a pretty clear division between the good teams and the bad teams.
Kind of funny how it works.
And there's Charleston with Charleston and us are the only teams with more than with 3 losses in their last 5. We're able to sustain it based on all the wins we had earlier in the season, and Charleston's able to sustain it because they just have to deal with St. Louis and Charlotte, who really aren't threats. Bethlehem, Loudoun, Atlanta United 2, Hartford Athletic, Memphis 901, and Swope Park dead last 15th. Worst team in the league at this point. I think Tacoma's the worst in the West with like 17 points. But gave Phoenix a run for their money the other night.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I saw that. And then they scored. And then Phoenix, did a Phoenix thing, and they scored like 3 goals in 7 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
Absolutely, just wildly bonkers thing that shouldn't be happening, and yet Phoenix just kind of finds a way to do it again and again and again.
All right,
what was the okay? So that game set a record, didn't it? Like it was the longest actual literal winning
streak in American soccer history. Because they're like, 18 games now?
History at any level?
That's what they're saying. That's what they said. Maybe longest professional.
Wins.
Isn't it up to 18 now? I thought they were at 18 after last night.
It doesn't matter. Like they were putting out a graphic that was saying that they had the largest in American soccer history ever for any level at any time. That's unbelievable. I don't care if they play in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we can throw that out there, but you have to have I mean, they're obviously good, but you got to be pretty good to win that many games, even if the level of competition is, in our opinion, lesser.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: like I have all the respect in the world to the Lakeland Tropics, the team out there that Pascal Million is playing for. They went, what was it, like 10-0 in the regular season or something like that, maybe 12-0.
Right.
And then they won all their playoff games.
Yeah.
Because they won the national title for UPSL, which, by the way, I found out is not an automatic qualifier for the Open Cup, and apparently they're not in the Open Cup.
Oh, wow.
At all. Yeah, at all. They didn't. They're not up. They're not. It wasn't an automatic qualifier from what I've read, and they didn't enter in as a part of the qualifying tournament, because you could just qualify for the tournament as an amateur team through its own separate bracket, because that starts, I think, next month. So they are not in it, like, at all. Not only did they not qualify, but they didn't even submit to try, which is interesting. I thought that was really fascinating. But anyways, that's a bit of a sidestep. Their winning streak is remarkable. I don't care if it's, semi-pro or amateur completely or whatever. I don't even care. That winning streak was impressive.
Right.
That was unbelievable. And yet to see what these guys have done out west is just mind-boggling. Mind you, Junior Flemings plays for them, so there's a Rowdies connection to keep in mind for why we kind of do pay attention to that team a little bit. There's a Rowdies connection there.
All right, we need to get through some stuff because you have an appointment with some people later on, and we have a lot still to get through. We have a lot still to get through.
We have a tendency to.
Yeah,
Not gonna apologize.
all that college football talk. The points per game table, let's just run through this really quick, and I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about it because we got a lot of other stuff we got to talk about. Indy, actually, with all their games on hand, is currently top of the points per game table with 2.09 points per game. Red Bull is second, 2.04. Rowdies in third, 1.96. Nashville coming into town this weekend, 1.85. This should be a really good game. Two pretty good teams right now. Pittsburgh, 1.83. North Carolina, 1.77. Ottawa, 1.7 even. Louisville, just a spot back in 1.68. Birmingham and Charleston, 1.33, 1.30. So your top 10 is the same in both, just slightly different positions. I know we still, things tend to happen and teams go on streaks, but it would not surprise me if the current top 10 is the top 10 at the end of the year.
All signs point to it, but I still think St. Louis comes in, and I think Charleston still drops out at the end.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know the odds are against it, but I'm just saying. That's
all
my
right.
prediction.
All the big team news. We might have to push the Open Cup stuff to next week.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. All the big news coming out, and it's something that we've talked about, at least supporters-wise, for years. We've known this has been in the works for a few weeks now, at least. There are some major changes coming to ticketing and seating next year, which usually is like code for price hikes, but the prices are actually dropping by a lot. I think Mike Pendleton posted a graphic out there that overall tickets are dropping. I think there's one section that stays the same, the regular midfield sections, the like side sections, closest to the middle of the midfield. But everything else is dropping, in some cases by $300-$400 for a season ticket. In addition to that, there is going to be safe standing at Al Lang next year. One of, I think he put it together, less than 10 stadiums in the country. Louisville's new stadium is going to have it. Orlando has it. San Jose has it. Audi Field in D.C. is already going back to the drawing table to revise and add that in, apparently. So it's going to be, I'm trying to think, it's all the sections behind the goal. I thought it was going to be those first three until you got to the dugout area, but it's going to be the three, like the two next to that also. So the section my season ticket's currently in is going to be turned into one of the safe standing, and I think I'm going to keep my my seat, air quote seat there. My season ticket drops by like $200. Bill Edwards, again, did a lot of great things for the team, but always kind of seemed to be of the mentality that to charge premium prices to make people believe they're paying for a premium product. And we had the license plates and the stickers that said world class professional soccer. I love the Rowdies. I don't know that I'm calling the play like the experience overall. Sure, I'm happy to pay for this on a season ticket every year. Even though they give me a press pass that I could get in free. I'm happy to pay for it. But don't make these crazy comparisons. It just sounds kind of weird. So the Rays group, they've taken a look at it because they basically kept ticket prices and stuff in place from last year. But next year is going to be huge. It's going to be great, I think. I think the ticket prices hopefully will make a big difference in, first of all, people buying season tickets or just coming to games in the first place. But this safe standing idea is something that was talked about at the Supporters Summit. You were there. I know you've talked to some of the guys from the Mob and some of the guys from the Casuals. What's your take overall on this?
I'm thrilled because, again, seriously, we've been talking about being in a section back there since we literally, since before the team ever kicked a ball. I mean, honestly, if you go back to George Steinbrenner, we've been talking about being in a section right behind the goal. And we weren't ever able to work it out. For the first year, it was because they needed the revenue from those seats more than they needed us to be there. So that was the driving factor there, which we understood. We figured that it was fine. But then when we moved over to Al Lang in 2011, we had the choice to sit wherever we wanted because the team had no idea if they were going to exist the next year. They didn't know what was going on. So it was just kind of do whatever you want. We're in Al Lang now. And we chose to sit up away from the field because we were wanting to keep the revenue stream available for the higher price tickets because we knew we were going to ask for the lowest price seats because we felt like we deserved it because we're more than just fans, and not to mention we're all paying for memberships on top of our season tickets anyways. So it made sense to have us be a lower ticket price. And that was, simply that was the reason why. We've been talking about the possibility of moving down there for almost 5 years. Like, legitimately bringing it up to people. I was talking to Lee about it when I was president, that we would actually do that. So,
and they've experimented with it, right? There's been at least 2 Open Cup games.
Yes,
where
so
it's like they've been there for competitive games.
Yeah, the Jacksonville United U23 game was the first game that we had hosted in an Open Cup at Al Lang, where we had an opportunity to move down to that section, and that was something that me and Lee had talked about because I was president during that year. So yeah, we had talked about it during that season and moved down there for that game.
Yeah. Now I was inside the press box that night because remember how hot it was that night. I was like, no, I'm sitting in the AC. I have the option. They let me do it. Yeah. I could hear you guys loud and clear through the glass windows that cannot be opened in that area of the press box. So like sitting in there, hearing it, I was like, man, this is something that would really be cool if we could do this on a regular basis.
Yeah. So I'm more than thrilled. I love it. I'm excited about it. It's going to be great. I hope it's not overdue in that context. Like, I hope it gets the traction it's supposed to. I'll put a little shout out to the team. I don't know why they're not being a little bit more pushy about it. Like, the announcement today was really mellow. Like, it's almost like they didn't want anybody to know. Like, it was literally just, hey, we're selling season tickets next year. Click the link. What? You're shockingly dropping the prices. You're installing supporter section standing areas. You're completely revamping the way you're going to sell tickets next year, considering that a lot of those seats are now going to be single game only seats. How are you not like shouting from the rooftops, this is what we're doing? I don't get the team's PR angle about that at all.
Yeah, well, and even the link you click on just takes you to Ticketmaster to make a $50 deposit. It doesn't even include the diagram, which you have to go on the team's website and then go to the season ticket section to find that.
Yeah, I don't get it.
To see what they're doing.
But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to say this in all honesty from the bottom of my heart. I love the supporting section moving. I love the fact that we're going to get safe standing. But the only way that becomes as awesome as it could be is if people freaking buy the tickets and start coming to games.
Right.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Because if you put, what is there, like 450 seats or something like that in all of those sections.
It's combined, a giant number, yeah. Well, I'll have to go through later and add those up.
Like if it's somewhere in that vicinity. If only 100 people are going to the games on a consistent basis, then it's not going to be all that cool. It's not going to be awesome. It's not going to be exciting. It's not going to be interesting. You want something to be awesome, then you better freaking convince people to start buying their season tickets for those areas.
Yeah.
Because we need to make sure as supporter groups, if we really care about this club and we really want to make this something special, you got to go. You got to go to the games, and we have to make sure that there are people there every week. And the best way to do that is to make sure they're buying season tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that we're going back in time to almost like 2011 year pricing, because we paid $150 in 2011 for season tickets. So the fact that we're basically going back to that time for ticketing in terms of pricing, you got to go. Like you don't have an excuse at this point.
No, I mean at this point they're asking.
You gotta buy tickets to go to games, and you have to actually go, and you actually have to sing. You actually have to maybe, wave a flag once every other game or something like that. Nobody is going to create an atmosphere for you. That's one thing that's always bothered me, is that like there's this expectation that, oh, that guy over there can be exciting. No, like all of us need to be excited. All of us need to be singing on the top of our lungs. All of us need to be clapping and shouting and waving a flag or a scarf or whatever, or being pissed at a referee when he makes a mildly bad decision or whatever. Like, you've got to be on it the entire game. Rain, shine, sweat, snow, sleet, I don't care.
I genuinely
gotta be on it, and it's just there's not a lot of people that are doing that, and it bothers me.
I genuinely think that there's a large number of people where kind of having this supporters culture in the area is kind of a new thing. USF had the gold mounts for a while, and apparently I didn't know that they had like gone away, but USF said they're bringing them back.
It more or less just everybody that got it.
Everybody graduated and left. That I think some people aren't necessarily 100% sure what they should do, or they feel like there's, certain things you should do. Just go out there and cheer for, like, whatever you're going to do, cheer for the team. Do your thing. Yeah. It's not about, like, doing it. There's no, like, right way to support a team or wrong way to support a team. Go out there and do your stuff, man.
And I'll say this. There are teams across the world. They have traditions. There is legit traditions of what you quote unquote should or should not do in any given supporter section around the world.
Don't throw foam soccer balls on the field.
Yeah. The big thing about
I have one of those on my desk. I'm looking right at it from that night.
Nice. The thing that I've always tried to preach is that, look, we are not in that situation. We don't have any set, this is what we have to do at games type of deal. We're 10 years old.
Yeah,
that's it.
There's no gatekeeping going on down there.
We're not going to say we've established a tradition that we're going to do for 100 years. No, you're not. Like, you can literally do whatever you want. Like, I mean, to a certain degree, obviously there's rationale behind that, but you gotta do it. You gotta just go out there. So I'm excited. I'm thrilled, but we need to see a reaction from the area to make it that much better.
It's time for a growth spurt.
Yes.
It's time for a growth spurt. Hopefully we can be part of making that happen too. So I have a couple questions, and maybe or possibly know. I'm assuming they're going to take the seats out, I guess, or put some kind of railing system in.
There'll be a railing system. I believe in most sections across the country that have the safe standing railing, there is usually like a small bench that people can kind of,
in case there's they have other events in the stadium that might be like seated, so they want to sell those or something. Is the team going to work with the supporters groups as far as here's what the layout's going to be, here's the style of rails, like are there any certain features that you guys want to have?
Yeah, as far as that's concerned, because they're going to have to account for, like, for instance, an area for the drums. Because, like, if you put all solid, areas across for railings, then you're not really going to have the right room for positioning a drum. So there's going to have to be, there's going to be communication, because they have to work that out. They have, apparently, the team is open for building, like, a proper capo stand.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I remember that hadn't been mentioned today, but that was mentioned a lot by people I talked to over the weekend, is that there's going to be a capo stand as well.
And the other thing, too, is that the team is going to be, we're going to try and figure out a way to make sure that TIFOs stay awesome.
Yeah.
As far as, that's the one thing that moving away from that kind of drawbacks a little bit from, but we're going to work that out. That's all stuff that we can figure out in time. And the club is more than aware of that, because they don't want to handicap anything that we're doing, accidentally. So we've been talking about this for so long that I think most of that's already been accounted for.
There's a framework in place. Because the one thing I know is, like, first of all, we all want to have our beers and drinks and whatever down there. Some kind of cup holders in there possibly would be a good idea. But also, having stayed down in that section during the rainstorm, when Edwards did all the renovations, they did the paint job on the steps, and
Make it really slippery.
They are super slippery, man. The guy going around doing the 50-50 raffle, I had to catch him before he went face first.
The good news about that is the team is more than aware that that's an issue. The quote the saying that I heard was that we've honestly been trying to find a way to solve that and make it blend in with the rest of the building or whatnot. Because obviously they painted all those steps for a reason, right?
Yeah.
No sense you put like a brown strip across it,
But I mean, no one's looking at it. You could put, I don't know, like just like the top layer of a skateboard, the black grip stuff. It's not going to ruin anything. It's going to be safer.
Well, I mean, yes and no, but you also, like, they painted it the colors they did for a reason, to try and draw more of a green, an aesthetic from the building and make it look more like your own. You're not just going to go over that with, brown or something like that, something that's going to stand out and not look right. So, like I said, we from what I understand, they've been looking for a solution. They just haven't quite found the one that they like yet.
Okay.
But
that's a bit
more.
Also,
they're more than aware of that being a potential issue, because again, there's more people than you that have been slipping on the stairs. I mean, depending on the shoes you're wearing, I've slipped on those shoes, on those steps before. So, it is what it is. At the moment, we're kind of gripping and dealing with it a little bit, or not really gripping because we're all slipping and sliding like it's but it is what it is for right now.
The other thing I noticed, and this is kind of a it wouldn't be an every time occurrence, but when it poured super hard, like that last 10 minutes of halftime, there was basically a river running through that front row of the seats where you stand. We've got to do something about the drainage down in that area.
Some of that has to do with the angle of the concrete, and I think the actual overflows are to the front of the steps there, but I think the way that the concrete is angled, it actually kind of angles away from that,
holds
so
it in a little bit,
creates a river. So, unless you start pouring a lot of concrete down there,
just bring some green.
There ain't no fixing it.
Bring some green and gold galoshes in the summer months if you're going to be in that section. But it's going to be cool.
But again, if you're smart, you're bringing a change of clothes anyways. So
this is true. I'm definitely looking forward to this, and there'll be more, I'm sure, coming out as the season and the off season moves on about changes to game day experience and all that kind of stuff that we haven't heard yet probably. But that's very cool. Let's make this. We've asked for this. The sports have asked for this. Let's make it into something. Let's show them why we asked for this. So that'll be good. Poku, we talked about named a team of the week, and Malik was on the bench. We were going to do a whole big thing on the Open Cup, but I promised the guys from Nashville I'd have you ready for them in about 8 minutes, so we're going to pass over that for this week. Yeah. Maybe we can discuss this with our special guest that we're going to have next week.
There you go.
We'll see. All right, so Nashville. Currently 14-6-6. They are 8-3-3 away. They're very good away, just like we are this year. 3-1-1 in their last 5. The Rowdies won in Nashville 1-0 on May 8th. Their leading scorer is Daniel Rios with 17, Cameron Lancaster with 5, Ken Tribbett with 4. 9 assists for their leader, Lebo Mulatto. Davis has 3. They've got 6 players tied with 2. Total shots, Rios has 66, Ropa Mensa with 35, and Mulatto with 33. Mulatto has created 57 chances, Rios with 30, Washington with 29. They haven't scored a ton of goals outside of their leading scorer, but they do have the capability to create some offense. Clean sheets, a guy we know, this is going to be his last trip to Al Lang as a player. Matty Pickens with 9 clean sheets on the season, 2 other clean sheets by their reserve keeper, allowing 0.9 goals per game. So again, going back to Poku with these outside the box shots, creating different types of chances and opportunities, I think is going to be a key for Saturday night to try and open them up and create possibilities to score. They average about 51% possession. They've scored 6 goals from outside the box. By my math, Domodoro is still 1 card away from a second accumulation suspension, but he's got 2 clean games from 1 being erased. So he managed to get through it Saturday night without a card. If he can get through this game and the next one, I think he would actually be the first Rowdies player to have a card erased for good behavior. I don't think we've ever had a guy that was on warning actually get it to that point. And one possibility, it's something we're all keeping an eye on down here. The possibility that Tropical Storm / Hurricane Dorian, depending on what it is when it reaches here, looks like their predictions are now for like a Cat 3 hurricane on the East Coast. Coming through here is maybe a low 2, maybe a 1, maybe even a tropical storm. Depending on what happens in the next few days, this game might end up being rescheduled. At this point, the Rowdies said they are planning on playing it Saturday night. Both teams have a pretty set schedule the rest of the year, but they do have some midweek days off. It wouldn't be ideal, but you could see a Wednesday game pop up in September or October. It possibly, looking at the schedule, if this game is called off for weather reasons, it could end up becoming the home finale and being played Wednesday after Indy. Looking at dates when both of these teams are available. So let's get to our predictions so we can wrap up and let you go play with the Nashville guys. What do you think we're going to see on Saturday on the field?
Well, I'll say this. Nashville has historically played pretty much a 4-1-4-1 during the entire season. It's pretty much been their mainstay formation. This past week, they actually came out with a 5-3-2 formation and still was able to produce a ton of offense as far as a designated formation. So this is not going to be a cakewalk by any means, not just because they're not, they're on the top of the table compared to, other garbage teams. This will be a tough match. And it's going to be because they play a solid defensive game because Matt Pickens has been great. What I'm expecting is going to be a 1-0 victory. That's my prediction for this week. And I'm predicting that goal is going to be some random squeaker of a garbage goal after we put like 10 shots on Pickens and he saves 9 of them brilliantly. And then he's just going to let in that one random goal that he shouldn't be allowing. And I'm going to say Tejada scores it. That'll be my prediction.
So basically it's going to be a repeat of our win up in Nashville. Because that's pretty much how that game went. The other thing we haven't talked about, we will push it off to next week too. It is a big deal. USL extended their contract with ESPN. It's honestly hard to tell.
No Kuju.
Yeah, it's honestly hard to tell on USL Twitter and USL Reddit whether people are more excited about the continuation of that deal, the expansion of that deal, to the point where they're actually touting the amount of money they're being paid. Which is nice to know that they are being paid and not paying for it, or the fact that it's just everyone's glad it wasn't Flow Sports or Mike Kuju. We will get into some of that stuff next week, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight. We love yous. Everybody first of all, everybody that came down during halftime and kind of broke in the new section because they all knew this announcement was coming, and they were down there having a good time. To the dismay of some people, but that won't be an issue next year. Free DePinto. So we love you. I'm going to say all of them, especially DePinto. God, there was just some hilarious scenes that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about. Steven, who you got?
We love you. I'm going to do a weird one today. I don't even care what the blowback is. I'm going to do it weird. I'm going Lee Cohen. And he penned the letter that went out for the season ticket email announcement today.
Can I tell you how excited I was to see in my inbox an email that said Lee Cohen?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm doing Lee Cohen because besides the fact that was a classy touch, that they basically made sure it was basically him that signed that letter that went out to everybody. A lot of this happens because of him. The fact that he's open to talk to. There are a lot of club president types around the country, a lot of COO types across the country that suck, that really, really hate their supporters, or find them the most annoying, garbage piles on the face of the planet.
High Chicago Fire.
Yeah, exactly. Lee is one of the best in the entire business anywhere in this country, and it is an It's honestly, it's refreshing, whether you're a president of the supporters group or just a random person that comes in every now and then. You've got a club that with somebody in charge that legitimately does care about its success. And that's not just on the field, but off the field as well. And Lee's heart's always been in the right place. So a lot of what you're seeing with ticket prices and with the safe standing, a lot of that comes and goes with him. So I do believe that he deserves this week's We Love You with the announcement today.
All right. Thank you to Wolfface, to Radio St. Pete, and Shamrock for their continued support. Thank you to you as well for continuing to find time for us in your schedule. Thank you to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier of MLS, USL, US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team. By the way, they are selling Rowdies scarves and other USL scarves on roughneckscarves.com now. Steven, I will hopefully see you on Saturday. Let's play this music so you can go talk to Nashville.
Yes.
The Rowdies were here, the Rowdies were there, they kicked the ball around. The Rowdies were here, the Rowdies were there, then they pulled the ground. Oh, the Rowdies, the Rowdies, the Rowdies are the kick in the grass.